In today's lesson, I'm going to show you 5 techniques to give better answers in IELTS Speaking Part 1. Now, these techniques are giving examples, comparing the past and present, expressing preferences, comparing yourself to others, and speculating about the future. Now, we're going to start with giving examples. This is very simple but can really help you to get a higher score in IELTS. Use words and phrases such as for example, for instance, such as, and like. These are all ways that you can introduce examples. You can say things like, for my birthday, I like to spend time with small groups. For example, just my close friends and family. For instance, last year I invited my best friend and my sisters to play Settlers of Catan. That's a board game, by the way. My sisters are like me and love playing strategy games such as Risk or Settlers of Catan. Although next year I want to try a board game I've never played before, like Distilled or Root. Okay, so by using these examples, you're showing the examiner that you can develop your answers.
Do you like eating sweet snacks?
I do. However, I try to only eat healthy snacks. For example, I'll often eat protein bars or sugar-free brownies.
Do you like to travel to new places?
I do. However, I've noticed that I don't have as much interest in traveling to such faraway places as I did when I was younger. When I was in my early 20s, I really wanted to visit far-flung countries such as China, Japan, Australia. Nowadays, I'm happier visiting the same countries over and over again. The next technique is to compare the past and the present. So you can use time phrases such as, in the past, something, but these days, something else. I used to, something, however now, something else. I would, something, but nowadays, something else. When I was younger, something, but now, something else. Now, you can use these time phrases interchangeably. You can say things like, in the past, I played lots of sports, but these days, I'm not so into sports. I prefer relaxing in my spare time. Or, I used to enjoy listening to techno music, but nowadays, I prefer pop music. When I was growing up, my family and I would visit my grandparents every summer, but now they are dead, so I don't visit them. By the way, would is a great way for talking about actions that happened repeatedly in the past, and we often contract it. So we'd say something like, when I was younger, I'd visit my grandparents every summer. So I would. When I was younger, I liked to travel by myself. However, now I much prefer traveling with friends or family. Now, you can use these time phrases interchangeably, and by using these, you're using a complex sentence.
Has your hometown changed much since you were a child?
Yes, definitely. When I was younger, it was much quieter and there were fewer shops. However, nowadays, it's becoming quite busy. And there's even a massive shopping mall.
Do you study the same way now as you did in the past?
Not really. In the past, I used to memorize everything without much understanding. But these days, I focus more on practicing and applying what I learn. The next technique is to express preferences. You can use phrases like, I'm really into, I'm keen on, I'm the kind of person who, I've never really been a fan of. So you can say things like, these days, I'm really into waking up early in the morning, which means I really like waking up early in the morning. I'm keen on waking up early as it allows me to do so much more in one day. So I'm keen on waking up. So remember, keen on, and then we have an ing verb. I'm keen on waking up early. I'm the kind of person who likes to go to bed early and wake up early. This is a great phrase to use in the IELTS test. I'm the kind of person who... Now, by using this phrase, again, you're showing the examiner that you can use high-level advanced grammar. So, I'm the kind of person who, and then a verb phrase. I've never really been a fan of late nights. I just feel too sleepy the next day.
Do you enjoy listening to music in your free time?
Yes, absolutely. I'm really into jazz, especially the kind with lots of improvisation. I find it helps me relax and I find it interesting to listen to.
Do you prefer studying alone or with others?
I'm the kind of person who likes studying alone, mainly because I get distracted easily in groups. When I work by myself, I can really focus and manage my time the way I want. A great technique is to compare yourself to others. Now, you can do this by using phrases like compared to da-da-da, I da-da-da. I'm different to something in that something else. I'd say I'm not as something as most people. Most people something, but I something else. So we can say, compared to most of my friends, I'm not that sporty. My friends are more sporty than I am. I'm different to my family in that I eat meat while they are all vegetarian. So I eat meat, all of my family are vegetarian. I'm different to my family in that I eat meat. I'd say I'm not as good at cooking as most people. I only really know how to make a few dishes. Most people in my friendship circles spend a lot of time playing computer games, but I prefer reading. When we give our preferences by comparing ourselves to others, again, we're showing the examiner more sophisticated answers.
Do you enjoy cooking?
I do enjoy cooking, but not nearly as much as other members of my family. For instance, my sisters love experimenting with new recipes, whereas I usually stick to a few simple dishes.
Do you enjoy using social media?
Not really. I'd say I'm different to many people my age in that I don't spend much time on social media. I prefer reading books or doing something creative instead. The final technique that we're going to look at today is speculating about the future. Now, this is a great technique to practice before your speaking test, especially if you find it hard to speak for long periods of time. If you run out of things to say, you can always speculate about the future, which means you can use phrases like, in the future, I reckon, or I think in the future, I'll probably, or I might something, but I'm not completely sure, or it's likely that something. So, for example, you can say, in the future, I reckon I'll move to a hot country as I'm getting tired of the cold winters here. Or, I think in the future, I'll probably do more weightlifting as they say it's good to do weights when you get older. I might buy a bicycle, but I'm not completely sure, as it looks quite scary cycling around the road. It's likely that by this time next year, I'll be living in Spain.
Do you like going to the gym?
I don't really. However, in the future, I reckon I'll start going more often. I've heard that lifting weights becomes more important the older you get, and the earlier you start, the better.
Do you think you will live in your city for a long time?
Not really. Actually, it's likely that by this time next year, I'll be living in Spain. I'm getting pretty tired of the freezing winters in Scotland and would love to move abroad. Thank you very much for learning these techniques with me. Remember to practice them before your IELTS test. Best of luck with your studies, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye.